Okay, so imagine this. Every single step you take in the city actually helps power it. And I'm not talking about some, sci-fi movie scenario here, but an actual project using something called piezoelectricity. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah,
And that's our deep dive today, Project Kronos.
definitely cool.
And the best part is we've got like a front row seat to this whole thing because our source is an actual teacher who's been mentoring the students behind this whole innovation.
Mm.
Talk about bringing learning to life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk about learning by doing.
It's exactly.
This is taking it to a whole other level.
So we all know cities are only getting bigger, right?
Right.
More people, more buildings, more lights that need to stay on all the time. It's a massive energy demand. Huge. And not always the cleanest energy either, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it really makes you wonder, like, what's the hidden cost of keeping our cities running 24/7? Like, we're so used to the convenience of it all, but Project Kronos really makes you think about where all that power comes from.
Totally. And they've come up with this really, really elegant solution. Imagine, right? Harnessing all that kinetic energy from all those footsteps, hitting the pavement day and night, just all the time, and turning it into usable power, enough to light up our cities.
Yeah, and what I think is really neat is the team behind Project Kronos wasn't just focused on finding like a new energy source. They wanted something that also tackled the environmental impact too, specifically looking at like how to actually shrink those carbon footprints that cities leave behind.
Which is something that a lot of green initiatives really struggle with, right?
Yeah,
It's one thing to have like a really cool idea on paper,
right.
but it's another thing to actually make it work in the real world.
Yeah,
But this feels different,
it does.
It's practical. It's like built into the way we already live. It just,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
It does.
So how do they actually make it work?
Yeah.
Well, it all comes down to this very cool phenomenon called piezoelectricity.
Which, let me tell you, is way, way less complicated than it sounds. So certain materials, and the source mentions like quartz and some ceramics, actually generate a tiny bit of electricity when you apply pressure to them or like you bend them. Yeah, it's like they've got this hidden talent, this ability to sort of transform like mechanical energy into electrical energy. And what's really interesting is that some materials are way better at this whole conversion thing than others.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like picking the right tool for the job, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
If you want to generate, a usable amount of electricity from like footsteps, you need a material that's really, really good at like capturing that energy.
Yeah, you need something efficient. And that's actually where Project Kronos they landed on this material called lead zirconate titanate.
Try saying that 3 times fast.
You know, right?
Lead zirconate, what was it?
Lead zirconate titanate, PZT for short.
PZT. Okay.
But yeah, it's known for being like super efficient at this whole energy conversion thing.
Okay, so we've got our wonder material, our PZT.
Right.
How do you go from like a slab of that to actually powering something like a street light?
Okay, so picture this. You're walking down the street, right? And hidden beneath your feet, embedded in the pavement, are these things called transducers.
Transducers.
Transducers, yeah. Think of them like tiny energy collectors.
Yeah.
And they're made with our friend PZT.
Okay.
So every time someone steps on that section of pavement, that transducer is like, gotcha, energy captured.
Gotcha. I love it.
Yeah.
So what happens, like it's capturing all these little bits of energy.
It is. And all those tiny, tiny bits of energy get collected and then they're sent to a charge controller.
Okay.
Which is basically like, the manager makes sure everything is flowing smoothly.
Okay, I like it.
Mm.
So we're managing the energy. What happens next? Does it like shoot straight to the streetlights?
Not quite. It gets stored in batteries.
Okay.
Kind of like how your phone stores energy,
Right.
So it's sitting there waiting to be used. And then when it's time to, light things up, an inverter steps in.
Okay, an inverter. So is that like an adapter or something?
It takes that stored energy and converts it into the right form that the streetlights can actually use.
So it's actually like it's a whole system working together,
It is.
but in a way that's like almost invisible to us as we're walking by.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, right? They've managed to integrate this pretty sophisticated technology without without like changing the look and feel of our city streets.
Which I imagine makes it a lot easier to implement in cities, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to like tear up entire sidewalks or anything.
Exactly. Exactly. And what's really exciting is they've shown it works.
Wait, they've actually built this thing?
They did. They created like a proof of concept,
Okay.
simulating a busy street with lots of foot traffic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And drum roll, please. Did it work?
It did. They were able to successfully power lights using nothing but those simulated footsteps.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not just a theory anymore. It's a real possibility.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's not just, a pie in the sky idea. It actually like works in a real world setting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it gets even cooler.
Okay.
Because if they can, light up a small area like this, imagine the possibilities on a larger scale.
Right.
Like think about like bustling train stations,
Oh, yeah.
airports, full of travelers,
Tons of people.
stadiums packed with fans. All those footsteps could be generating clean energy.
So you're saying just by like going about their day, people could be powering the very places they're walking through.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, that's amazing.
And I read that Project Kronos, I mean, they're not thinking small. Like they want to take this global.
Wow.
Yeah, which is really exciting. And what I think is really interesting is they're designing it to be adaptable. So no matter the city layout or how much foot traffic there is,
Oh, okay.
this isn't like a one size fits all solution.
Right.
It's about tailoring it to each unique urban environment.
Right, which makes a lot of sense. You can't just like drop the same system into Tokyo and
Yeah.
and say, a smaller city and expect it to work the same way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets, I think, really, really interesting.
Okay.
Imagine this technology being integrated into smart city designs,
Okay.
right? So sensors could be tracking foot traffic in real time, and then that piezo-generated energy, it could be directed to where it's needed most at any given moment.
Oh, wow.
We're talking about like optimizing entire urban ecosystem.
It's like the city itself becomes more efficient, almost like a living organism, just like adapting to its needs in real time.
Yeah, I like that.
So, but even beyond streetlights, like our source mentioned some other like cool applications for this technology, right?
They did. They talked about powering things like indoor lighting in buildings.
Yeah.
Even like sound systems. Those those information kiosks you see in parks.
Right. Yeah.
They even hinted at capturing energy from roadways.
Oh, wow.
So imagine harnessing the energy of traffic.
Yeah. Suddenly, every busy street corner is like a potential power source.
Right.
That's wild. But let's be real. For this to really, really take off, people need to like know about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Public awareness is key here. People need to understand the potential of Project Kronos and start demanding this kind of sustainable solution in their own cities. It's about citizens becoming advocates for a greener future.
And that's what's so cool about this whole deep dive is it's not just about like this, cool new technology that can power our cities.
Yeah.
But it's about like how we can all be a part of a more sustainable future.
15%. Yeah.
Just by going about our lives.
Yeah, and by supporting these kinds of initiatives, whether it's through advocacy, supporting companies that are developing these technologies, or just being more aware of our own energy consumption. Like we can all contribute to positive change.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into Project Kronos.
Yeah.
But as we kind of like leave you to ponder all this amazing stuff, here's something to think about, right?
All right.
What if something as simple and as universal as walking could actually help light our way forward?
It's a powerful thought, and one that might just spark a revolution, one footstep at a time.
I love it.